seeing families taking hold of a better future, households experiencing an improved life. This has been in our hearts for almost 2 decades now. For us, this journey of addressing poverty through the social enterprise approach has been filled with challenges and discoveries. When year 2000 was approaching, major overseas development agencies had decreased their support for NGO programs. This was also the time that the Philippine economy was experiencing growth. Eventually, this pushed the civil society to move towards financial independence. Through the efforts of the Caucus of Development NGO networks, 1.3 billion pesos was raised via development bonds tagged as the Poverty Eradication and Alleviation Certificates, simply called Peace Bonds. This is meant to create a sustainable source of funding for CSO programs that address poverty. Then in 2001, we were created to be the steward of this endowment fund. In our first 10 years, we responded to development projects of nonprofit groups as they serve different communities. We have supported various projects on basic social services, livelihood and employment, capacity building, advocacy, and other social development efforts. With the intention to reach a greater number of poor communities, we localized our efforts further by putting up partnership and access centers. These PACs were located in several provinces to provide local organizations closer access to financial resources. And as 2010 came to a close, we were able to provide more than 1 billion pesos for more than 1,000 projects that reached more than 300,000 households in the country's poorest communities. All these projects were supported as we faithfully keep the value of the endowment fund. We couldn't have delivered such projects without the hard work of various people's organizations, NGOs, faith-based institutions, and similar groups who share the same aspirations with us. Ka-Norma is a Sama Badjao, an ethnic group in Basilan where challenges in peace and security persist. She and other women in her community are mat weavers, creating unique, colorful designs out of pandan leaves. Through the Claret Samal Foundation and PEF, these woven products were made available in stores, yielding additional income for the Badjao communities. Every day, Ka-Norma and other women ride in small boats to buy rice and other household needs, and for the children to go to school. With PEF and its partners, a 400-meter sturdy footbridge was built, connecting the resettlement sites of Sama Badjao to the town proper. Ease and more savings for families became at hand. As our first 10 years ended, we looked back on the impact of our efforts. We saw the stories of households getting access to electricity and clean water, parents gaining added sources of income, and communities having hope in the midst of disasters. Among these, a study revealed that market-related enterprises were the most effective in improving poor households. Experts also said that while the economy is growing, poverty remains high in rural and agricultural areas. These experiences and insights pushed us to a more focused approach, helping households through social enterprises. While there is no one definition of SE, we understand it to be organizations or businesses with social, cultural, economic, or environmental mission aligned to benefit communities. Majority of their profit are reinvested to fulfill their mission, eventually creating positive effects to the people they serve. 2011 began and we concentrated on 10 selected SEs. From communities, we also shifted our focus to households, contributing to improve their living conditions. We focused further in 2012 by looking at C5, a strategic approach to give emphasis on SEs with coconut, coffee, cacao, sugarcane, and climate-smart commodities. Studies from Philippine economists saw the competitive advantage of these champion crops, that supporting these can potentially contribute in reducing poverty in rural areas. 2013 was a widening of horizons. As we have anticipated SEs to mature, we needed a vehicle that can provide larger investments. We also had to protect the organization from higher risks in big ventures. Hence, the Peace and Equity Holdings was formed. However, the readiness of partners and the responsiveness of the products and services of PEH became a challenge. In the same year, we began investing and registered for profit entities, business with potential social benefits to the community. Our board saw this as a valuable step in linking the market closer to the farmers. Since we also recognize that some CSOs find it difficult to drive SEs forward, RPEs became viable institutions that complemented our strategy. In 2014, we geared up for growth. To grow SEs meant we had to develop our partners in terms of their enterprise, management, and organizational systems. We likewise wanted to prepare these SEs to be investor-ready and to be resilient in times of calamity and economic challenges. We started with a module-based program where partners were trained on financial management, enterprise supervision, and business proposal writing. 2016, we suited up for scaling up. We braved to scale up that year, but to do so, we also had to enhance our capacity-building initiatives. Thus, we formed the Social Enterprise Institute. This allowed us to be more proactive and responsive to the capability needs of our partners. We also sharpened our focus on C4 and integrated climate-smart practices into the 4 commodities. 2017, a challenge to reinvent. A review of our first 10 SEs showed that the growth of enterprises has very minimal impact to households. Also, the improvements in economic situation of beneficiaries cannot be directly attributed to our efforts. By then, we knew we needed to do something about our strategies and approaches. That year, we chose 8 pilot areas to manage the geographical spread of our staff. The midterm review also brought forth an approach that would bring better impact for households. The following year reveals this. 2018, the area-focused approach. Considering that we need to create more sources of income for our target households, we initiated an area-focused development strategy. We looked at connecting our C4 SEs to different stakeholders and market players, and integrating basic social services in our programs, thus creating an enabling environment that can help improve the life of our partner households. As we work in this approach today, we see sparks of hope of how collaboration, community participation, and well-managed farm-to-table trading have brought positive effects to farmers, fisher folks, and many other families like that of Mang Marcelinos.
Ay malaki po ang pinag-iba nung ngayon kaysa nung dati po. Nagkasarili po ako ng bangka, lambat, makina. Papaaral ko po yung 3 kong anak. Saka yung pang araw-araw na pangangailangan, nakakakumpleto po. Dati talaga halos yung gabi gawin kong araw parang umano sa pamilya, sumapat. Ngayon hindi po. Minsan nakakapahinga ako.
Adi yung nga po, nagkaroon kami ng kaunting kinikita na. Pamili si Mrs. ng 3 baboy. Tapos po nagtayo si Mrs. nung maliit na tindahan. Kumuha kami ng isang tricycle na dinown ko para ho kami may service na si Mrs. pamimili. Yun ho ang pagbabago ngayon sa buhay na. Laking mong iba.
While we continuously find opportunities for our partner communities, COVID-19 hit the country in 2020. Facing the threat of the pandemic, we joined other civil society organizations in supporting relief and recovery initiatives for affected households in rural and urban areas. 8 million pesos was allotted for relief efforts to our partners in different provinces. We also extended support to urban poor communities and homeless people in Metro Manila. From 2011 to 2020, PEF has reached more than 130,000 households with over 600 projects investing more than 1 billion pesos. Behind all these numbers are the early markers of realized dreams and aspirations that we're continually nurturing in our communities. More than ever, our lessons brought us to continuous improvement and innovation by giving value to learning and cultivating knowledge. As we move to the next strategy period, we will continue our journey with renewed vigor, hope, and courage for the next 20 years and even beyond, all for self-sustaining and resilient households in our partner communities. While challenges are at hand, we look forward with much optimism to new opportunities for Peace and Equity Foundation.